This is WBAI in New York City. And those of you who have been listening to this program, it's always such a hard thing. Maintaining a kind of continuity is a difficult thing. In fact, one doesn't even know whether it's desirable or not, because there are always new people finding out about BAI, always new people getting FM radios, always new people, unfortunately, running into their old perverted friends who are WBAI listeners and who tell them about it. So there are always those people who have just tuned in or just started listening recently, and the attitude from back here is, well, everybody who's out there knows everything that's ever happened on this program. An incredibly vain attitude on my part. However, I demand it of my listeners. Those of you who have been listening for a time, remember that, I guess it was, about a year ago, we had a couple of visits paid to us by Theodore. It's been about a year, hasn't it?
Yeah, they call me now Brother Theodore. I detest it, but I'm known under the name of Brother. I know that because sometimes people on the street stop me. They don't say Theodore or Brother Theodore. They say Brother. It's disgusting, but I have to...
Yeah, I know you don't like it. And as a matter of fact, I was going to say, some of you may know him as Brother Theodore, but I know you don't like it.
No, I don't like it.
But some of them may know you as Brother Theodore.
It sticks to me, and so I have to stick to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there we are. And that's for those of you who have never heard him on this program, but have seen him, his face smeared on the television set, on Merv Griffin and Carson and Joey Bishop and anybody else who had the nerve. Right. Mm-hmm. And I've known Theodore for a couple of years, and I first met him, I don't want to go into the whole story, but I first met him because when I saw him on TV, I had never seen him before that. And just on a wild chance, I called the television program that he was on, and I finally got in touch with him, and he turned out to accept my offer to come up here. And we've been friends ever since, although we haven't seen you much lately.
No, but sometimes you know people, and you know they are friends. Whenever you need them, they will be there. You will be there for them, even if you don't talk with them for a long, long time. It is a good feeling, a feeling of security to know they are alive, and all you have to do is dial their telephone number, and they are at your disposal.
But unfortunately, I'm not one of them, as somebody would say.
Yes, no. I'm not in a sarcastic mood today, because I have made up my mind. I have the wrong image. I have, whenever I try to be witty and cutting, I get nowhere. I think I have now to try to be very mediocre, to be a real bore, a real run-of-the-mill bore, then maybe I'll become commercial. And I have to become commercial because I have to eat and pay my rent. Right?
Right. Well, this is the people who listen to this program are so used to listening to me that you couldn't possibly be a bore.
Now, Steve, there is something, I brought something with me, and I wonder whether you would be interested in hearing about it. I brought here with me an article written by one Oliver Rappaport, drama critic for the Observation Tower, which is a widely unread, fifth-rate rag, and the article appeared under the title Ugly Theodore. Not Ugly Brother Theodore, he calls me Theodore too. Ugly Theodore, and with your kind permission, and I'm afraid even without it, I'm going to read the article to you now. He says, once again, that is a quote now, once again that notorious gorilla Theodore. Now, I pause long enough to point out that I'm not a gorilla. Not that I would object to being one. There is nothing wrong with a gorilla, but this feeble-minded, blundering scribbler seems to think that there is something disreputable about a gorilla, and so he calls me a gorilla. Only a jackass would stoop that low. Now I go back to the article. Once again, that notorious gorilla Theodore is about to befoul, you hear that? To befoul some off-Broadway theater with his unsavory presence, drowning the place in fury and sound, in spittle and sweat. To Brother Theodore, the phosphorescence of putrescence is the essence of life. To him, the most nourishing part of an apple is always the worm. Murder, rape, virginity are no crimes to him. Only the other day or the other night, Brother Theodore, while playing hide-and-seek with an asthmatic, bedridden widow, a mother of 6, used her so viciously that she expectorated a tooth at each cough, and later on was found doubled up in a garbage can, deader than a dead pig in the summer sun. Now, Steve, I must say that this is a horrible, horrible thing to say, because never in my entire history, and you know that, never in my entire history have I done such a thing or even attempted to do such a thing. My entire biography brands it a lie. It just isn't Brother Theodore. But of course, when a liar is a bloody, natural-born liar, a liar by profession, a liar by inclination, a liar in the daytime, a liar at night, it is absolutely remarkable how he has learned to lie. Now, please give me just one more minute and listen to this expert liar, listen to this automatic, hydraulic, round-the-clock expert liar. Ugly Theodore never offers anything constructive in his sermons. He never offers anything constructive in his lectures, except perhaps to those majoring in psychiatry. Ugly Theodore, frankly, I'm all set to puke if you want to know the truth. Before I'm through with that filth, I probably will turn this lovely little studio here into a vomitorium. Ugly Theodore, ugly Theodore, ugly Theodore, ugly Theodore. It's getting a little bit repetitious, I might say. Not that I care, of course not. I mean, a puppy yelping at a hydrant doesn't affect the hydrant. It makes the puppy look like a jackass. But if I'm so ugly, if I'm such a nasty chunk of eyesore, if all this is as Mr. Rappaport says, how come females all over town make passes at me? How come they call me adorable teddy bear and sauce piquant and sultry, devastating teddy bear? I mean, how come I always have to fight like a deer at bay for what is dearer to me than my life? There must be a reason. Well, there is. Now, Steve, and ladies and gentlemen in the radio land, I am well aware, and I do not need Mr. Oliver Rappaport and his witty observations in the observation tower. I am well aware that I am not, and probably never have been, what you might really call a dreamboat or even a tugboat. I know that. I know it's not my fallen arches or my perforated eardrum or my ingrown toenail that sets the female blood on fire. It's rather that I have learned to make the most of the little I have got, and that's what counts. After all, everyone, the plainest one among us, has some stand-out feature, and if he but knows how to properly handle it, he can't miss. Now, there is no exception to this rule. For instance, you, Steve, just examine yourself fully in front of a mirror, study yourself carefully, vomit, and ask yourself, what have I got, and what am I going to do with it? And then go ahead and do it. His lovely, lovely, lovely girlfriend just gave me a glance of infinite gratitude. Now, please don't keep quiet. Interrupt me any moment, because I can go on thusly until 6 in the morning, and this would become quite a bore to myself and to the audiences.
Oh, well, is there more to the article? You can, if there's more to the...
Well, it's not more, but I mean, these stupid critics, these disgusting critics. I mean, he tries to be witty. He doesn't pay any attention to me. He just wanted to write, and I mean, there's another article in the same paper. You know, I mean, just to give you a picture of the level of intelligence. For instance, in the same paper, has nothing to do with me, you know. But in an indirect way, it will explain things. In the Lonely Hearts Correspondence column of Hearts Up Weekly Magazine, now I gave the name, Hearts Up Weekly Magazine, Mrs. Anita Bonat Bennett gives frank advice on how to win a balanced, captivating personality. In plain, courageous language, in simple, down-to-earth, four-letter words, yet with all the delicacy the most sensitive of us might wish, Mrs. Bonat Bennett tells us how to radiate the joy of living, how to take up vegetable gardening in a window box, how to save $100 a year by growing your own lice, when to wear your lucky panties, and finally, how to achieve wedded bliss and gratification and pregnancy not only of the husband, but of the wife too. Now, don't get me wrong, Steve, please. Nothing would be more annoying to me if you could get me wrong. Then if you could get me wrong, I have nothing against Mr. Oliver Rappaport. I'm not bitter, I'm not cross, I'm not piqued or peeved or miffed or in any way huffed or pissed off, and I'm not going to blow my nose to spite his face. But I want Mr. Oliver Rappaport to understand very clearly, behind my facile charm, which he cannot see on radio, but behind my facile charm, I'm always eager to take offense. And when I smile the way I'm smiling now, a simple but dignified funeral is due, Mr. Oliver Rappaport. I stop here and we talk about other things. This is getting out of hand again.
Have you ever met Oliver Rappaport?
I've never met Mr. Oliver Rappaport in person, and if I play my cards right, I never will meet Mr. Oliver Rappaport. And that is the greatest plug he has ever gotten in his life. I really should have ignored him, but as I read it only last night, I was still imbued with, what does one call that, justified wrath, with the wrath of the, what is it? What does the Bible say? With the wrath of the righteous.
Where does this paper come out?
Please.
Oh, we don't want to...
You gave me a plug, and you probably will give me
that's true. Why?
More,
that's
but
true.
I don't
that's
want
true.
to give him a plug.
That's true.
It's...
Maybe he's a ghostwriter for Jerry Lewis or one of your other admirers.
Yeah, but, I can appreciate your remark, but the audience cannot possibly appreciate what Jerry Lewis in this connection means. You will have to explain that.
Well, we talked about it once before when you were on. It was a while
but
ago.
you just said on the radio that you assume wrongly that people who listened 2 years ago are listening tonight, and that people who listen tonight automatically listened 2 years ago.
This
is not so.
True, but we don't really care about those. Unless, would you like to tell the story of Jerry Lewis again?
Not really, no. Not
I'd
really.
love to hear it again.
Well, in a way, no. In a way, it's good for me because I, a total unknown non-entity, for 20 or 25 minutes on a nationwide television show, became Mr. Jerry Lewis' equal. And I don't mean his equal, really, because I wouldn't like to be his equal. I would like to have his money, but otherwise I would not like to be Mr. Jerry Lewis's equal. End of story with Jerry Lewis.
But now they're all sitting out there saying, God, what happened with Jerry Lewis?
No, I cannot explain it because it is not fair. He is not here.
Oh, thank God for that. I mean, I have a record.
If I told the story as I see it, I would probably distort the story in my favor.
I know, but that's what would be so much fun about it.
Show me off as a very brilliant reparteeist, would show him as totally destroyed, totally helpless by an unknown little performer or thinker or philosopher like me, and it was not exactly so. But this is the way I would depict it. And
that's the only way I'd have you tell it.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that.
Okay, we won't.
Suffice it to say that for 20 or 25 minutes I had a horrible run-in, a serious run-in, not a rehearsed, pretended run-in, on the Merv Griffin show. And Merv Griffin was the only one who really enjoyed it, because I said to Jerry Lewis everything that I guess Merv Griffin would have liked to say to him but couldn't say because he was the host and Jerry Lewis was the guest of honor. But I did the dirty hatchet work for the others. End of story now, really. End of the story, yes.
Well, you sort of got it. In other words, would it be saying too much to say that Jerry Lewis is not one of your big fans, nor you one of his.
Well, I am not entirely sure. I have later on heard rumors that he didn't mind so much after someone explained to him my personality, that I'm really not as vicious as my reputation, that I used to be a Christian Scientist, but I quit because I couldn't stand being so damn happy all the time, you know. So he forgave me, apparently, and I assume he forgave me because he asked me once to come on his what does one call that?
Television?
On his television show, which I couldn't do at the time because I was out of town.
Did he really?
It is, of course, also possible that one of his henchmen invited me and that he was even unaware that this invitation was extended to me. I just don't know, and frankly, it's in the dark past and is totally unimportant to me one way or the other. Because, you see, all these little things, all these little tiny little annoyances of show business mean little or nothing to me. If I'm permitted to say so, I see too deep for these things. I see too much. I have gazed into the abyss, and the abyss has gazed into me, and neither of us liked what we saw. The human race to which so many of you belong looks to me like a bad joke, like a boo-boo of nature, like a miscarriage of the primal mother. Really, the more I look around, especially here now in the neighborhood of WBAI, police and people and pickets and counter-pickets, I mean, what has become of us? Not just of you and me, Steve. I mean of us, my friends in Radioland. We are no longer firm, bright apples on the firm, bright tree of life. We are a mess of rotting applesauce. It is not only the air and the water that are polluted, it is also our hearts and our souls. God may be dead, but he is nobody's fool, and he is pretty much fed up with you. I hate to be an alarmist, friends, but you are going to get it smack in the snout. Lightning is about to strike you in the flabbergastronometer at any moment now, which will be the official beginning of Armageddon. Und die Flöhe kritze, kratze, hüpfen schnell aus der Matratze. Do you realize the enormity of the situation? The goose is cooked, bye-bye birdie. I'm brutally frank about it. Now, I know it's late at night and I shouldn't upset our audiences. And I will, Steve, I see that you look a little bit worried, I will assuage their potential nightmares. Never fear, folks. Brother Theodore is here. He is here on this microphone in order to guide you and to protect you. It is very true, ladies and gentlemen. So far I'm little known as a political or spiritual leader. I have never been awarded a Nobel Prize in science. I have never been given a doctor's degree or even a pot to plant my petunias in, and frankly I'm proud of it. I'm a heterodox and bold and independent thinker. I am a cool cat, if there ever was one. And luckily for you, and bullily for me, I have just come up with a brand new, last-ditch, surefire formula that will save you all from the most vomitory fate that has ever threatened humankind, namely extinction. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been slaving over this formula all night until the wee hours of the morning, because I love you, because I'm very fond of your guts. This formula I'm talking about is a macrobiotic, microbiological miracle formula. It will wipe out Hong Kong flu and Chinese pestilence and carcass disease. It will energize your enzymes and dynamize your chromosomes. It will calibrate your epigaster and bepiffle your brain. It will expand your mind and shrink hemorrhoids and asteroids. Now, I refer, of course, as you might have guessed, Steve, I mentioned that to you before, months ago, that I had this intention. I refer to Mupizimipozzi hydrochloride Schmitz.
Yes, I remember that.
You remember that?
Yes. Tell us about it.
It was at that time, it was just a vague idea, but now this vague idea has crystallized. Mupizimipozzi hydrochloride Schmitz. It's not a pep pill, it is not a drug, it's a natural, it's the laxative that constipates, and it's reheatable. 5 tablets. Please, don't laugh. Please, don't laugh. Just listen to me.
Sorry.
I mean, no, I'm getting angry. Listen to me, Steve.
Please don't.
5 tablets taken with water 73 times a day. Or 73 tablets taken with water 5 times a day, whichever more convenient, produces electromagnetic charges in your body. It unblocks the kidney stew and stimulates the carbon dioxide in your lungs, which turn to brewer's yeast. You have attained the Mahamudra of Muhammadra, the Pfifizish of Zen Buddhism. You roll in the gutter with gurus. You rub elbows with yoga chicks. Now, for possible side effects, consult your nearest possible side effects consultant. A stitch in time saves 9. Mupizimipozzi hydrochloride Schmitz is the real McCoy. It's the only McCoy. Try tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You can't learn how to swim unless you get into the water and drown. Please, now you laugh again. Now, I thought you were my friend.
I was laughing off mic, though. Nobody heard.
Oh, you were laughing off mic?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have mentioned it then.
Well, that's all right. Maybe they heard it coming across.
Yeah. Now, there's a deadly silence right now, which I know is really more deadly on radio than anywhere else, because they cannot see our intelligent faces, nothing. They can only hear our silence.
Everything you're saying fits in perfectly with the continuity of this program, because what you're really doing is seeking out for us the answer. In fact, you're giving us the answer.
Well, let me then not give you an answer, but ask you a question, because in my opinion, there are only questions and there are no answers in this world. Anyone who thinks he has the answers is just plain stupid, you know? There was a story in the paper, not in the paper that I mentioned before, not in Hearts, in the Lonely Hearts column, about a little girl brought up in the woods by a female bear. Do you believe it?
Yes, I suppose so.
Yeah, well, I think you should believe it. I don't know about this particular case because I just have it from reading it in the newspapers, but there are oodles and caboodles of similar instances throughout the ages. The founders of Rome, for instance, as you probably know, Romulus and Remus, you say here in
Sure,
America.
I remember
Romulus
them.
and Remus were suckled and reared by a she-wolf. Tarzan was reared by an ape lady and grew up a baboon boy, and I myself was brought up by a rhinoceros. Rhinocerosi make excellent mothers. They indulge in rhinocerontic behavior, and you really never know a rhinoceros until you live with one. But they are too expensive. They are awfully expensive. The average run-of-the-mill rhinoceros will cost you about $25,000. That's about 500 times more than the average run-of-the-mill pig. What this country needs, and I'm waiting for Nixon, what this country needs is a good, medium-priced rhinoceros. Now, a hummingbird is a better bargain, but unfortunately, it's far less expensive, of course, but unfortunately the hummingbird is frightfully immoral. He flies forward and backward and sideways and indulges in mixed bathing. I would say, as we are on the subject of animals, I would say the best bet as a pet is a South Dakota vulture hen. The South Dakota vulture hen is held in high esteem for her habit of laying fried eggs and tearing out portions of the human face. And speaking of zoological things now, another question. Do you believe in man-eating sharks?
I've heard of the phenomenon.
Don't answer my question.
I'm
You are
sorry.
trying to wiggle out.
Well, I
You
just...
know, why don't you commit yourself?
Well,
My
it's just
question
so-
was a simple question. Do you believe, do you, Steve Post, at this moment, facing me, looking me square in the eye, do you or don't you believe in man-eating sharks?
Does it have to be a simple... It has to be a simple yes or no.
It has
huh?
to be a simple yes or no.
No, at this very moment.
Let me be the first to congratulate you, because there are no such things as man-eating. I mean, have you, for instance, have you ever been eaten by a shark?
Not recently.
No, not really. Have you ever met anybody who has been eaten by a shark?
No, come to
Well,
think
there
of it,
you
I haven't.
are. I mean, it's politics as usual. It's disgusting. I count in this matter also on Nixon to change the political atmosphere.
I think that's Spiro Agnew's department.
Listen, no predictions. Do not predict in my presence whose department it is. I personally am very, very careful about making predictions. And as you are a far younger man than I am, take my advice. Be also very careful in making predictions. If you, for instance, predict a sunset and it doesn't set, you look pretty silly. So better be careful.
Yeah.
That leaves you speechless.
It does.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to. I'm perpetually monopolizing the microphones here. This is not my intention. You know, I'm itching to talk about something else, but I don't know whether this would not create a scandal.
Good. Talk about it.
I
Let me
should
just
talk
say
about-
one thing first, can I?
Yeah.
I have to do a station break. I have to say that
All
this
right, if that's the way you feel about me, if a station break is more important to you than my visit here, then I take back anything I said about our great friendship.
Well, it's not that, Theodore.
Okay,
no. It's just
I mean,
it wouldn't just be.
If you want a station break, all right.
No, it just wouldn't be for a simple station break. It would be because the entire station it depends upon whether or not I do the station break. There are people out there.
Do you think I care about WBAI after this is over? Go on.
Well, I mean, the show might run. And you'll need
okay,
more publicity.
Okay, do your dirty commercial work.
I feel bad about it now.
Okay.
Maybe I could slip past this one, but I'll do it quickly. This is WBAI in New York City.
That's all?
That's all. You expected a long thing?
Yeah.
I should say, if I were a professional radio person, I'd say this is The Outside, and my name is Steve Post. I'm the star of the show, and my guest tonight is Theodore.
Yeah, I just, I'm glad you had this station break, because on second thought that I had in this very short interval of the station break, I cannot say what I wanted to say.
Why
because,
not?
No, I think it would endanger, I mean that now, seriously endanger the job, not your job, the job of some person.
Oh, I don't think you should worry about that at all. We talk about him all the time.
Will you please help me and say whether, when you say him, whether it's the same person I mean?
Are you talking about the man sitting at the door?
Yeah.
Guarding us? The policeman? The police officer?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, but he might lose his job.
As long as you don't... No. We don't give his name. We don't know who he is.
No, but his superior might listen.
Well, then
And then
if
his superior will know who is at WBAI.
if what you're going to say is that the guy downstairs was asleep, then I can tell you that I've said that about it. They send a different cop all the time, and one
They're
thing
all
they have
asleep.
they have in common is the same alarm clock and blanket. That's all.
I see. No, it was quite frightening to me. I tried to get in. I saw there a guy. I didn't look close.
I forgot to tell you about that. I forgot to warn you about
a bum, not in uniform.
Right.
Not
They
in
take off. They take off the
lying
uniform.
there all over the place, and what do you call that? When you make a fist, what do you call that? I clenched my fist and gave myself the most fierce look I'm capable of before I opened the door, because I said maybe this guy is going to get up and say, hey, give me a drink, or give me your wallet or something. And I looked him straight in the face, which was totally distorted from sleep and glazed, and then I saw a policeman's cap 5 feet away, and a policeman's jacket 7 feet away, and only then it dawned upon me that I better be careful, because he probably has also a gun 10 feet away, and he might shoot me if I am not very polite. So I wasn't polite, nor was I impolite. I just immediately rushed into the elevator and came up. Now, there's one thing I want to say. I mean, you seem to be so very pleased. You imbibe that, what I say, because I get it probably when I go out. He might have a transistor radio.
That's right, you're going out before I am,
yeah.
right.
Now, here's the thing. I probably, in contradistinction to the entire station WBBAI, am exceedingly, and I mean that, exceedingly in favor of law and order. I am one of New York's or America's, and I'm serious, top reactionaries, not just conservative. I detest the present trend of, permissiveness. Being brought up in Germany, although I'm not a German, if you want to say that, I'm a Jewish German, but still, as a Jewish German, I was brought up. It just so happened that I was brought up, as many German Jews, in the rigidity, the discipline, the order of the real pre-Hitler German. I was a boy then. And I don't like what's going on in the colleges, where every little college kid can riot with reason, without reason, or the reason that he thinks is a reason, and is no reason for anybody else but him and a few other exhibitionists. You know, I also am an exhibitionist. There's only a difference. There are exhibitionists who have something to exhibit, and there are exhibitionists who have nothing to exhibit. You know. And well, never mind. So
well, I didn't want to get into politics with you, because I know that we never agree on anything politically. However, you brought it up, and it's only my obligation to at least use my incredibly huge storehouse of knowledge and brilliance to at least put one question to you.
Yeah.
To try and sort of
go ahead. The suspense
counteract
is
the
argument.
It's killing me too. I'm working
okay.
on the question.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be here in a second. Don't you think? Now, you were brought up in pre-war Germany. You were a victim, and your family were victims of Hitler.
Not of order. What Hitler did was disorder.
I haven't finished now.
Yeah. Okay. Pardon me.
Okay. Let me finish. You were a victim of what Hitler did. Now, you say that you're a product of the upbringing of the Hitler days.
Of the pre-Hitler
days. Don't you think that if these students that you are talking about had been around then protesting Hitler, that what happened during Germany would have been avoided?
No, because many of these students behave like the Hitler youth behaved in Germany. They are totally undisciplined. They are raving fanatics. They are vainglorious. They have no ideas of how doing things better. They have only the idea of destroying, insulting. It is incredibly difficult in a society as ours to find solutions for almost non-soluble situations. And they want to tear down, but how are they going to build up?
That's the traditional reactionary argument, of course.
Yeah, and therefore it is the mere fact that it is a typical reactionary argument doesn't make it an invalid argument.
Well, it does, because most reactionaries haven't examined the motives and ideas of the student leaders beyond the point of saying they're just trying to tear down and destroy.
Yeah, of course, they cannot do much else, because a 21-year-old boy, let us say, to take an average, even if he has great intelligence, he doesn't have the knowledge nor the maturity of building up.
How do you know? Have you ever seen a nation or a society led by a 21-year-old?
Yeah, there was Alexander the Great. But I wish to interject something here. I'm not a pessimist, I'm optimist. As long as there is death, there is hope. All our great men are dead. Alexander the Great, whom I just mentioned, is dead. Attila is dead. Genghis Khan is dead. Nietzsche is dead. Wagner is dead. And I am not feeling so hot myself. You know, so we are in a fine pickle here.
Actually, I can't argue with
And furthermore, I am the liberals in general, disgust me. And may I go on, please? May
Yes,
I be
go
kind
ahead.
enough to go on?
No, I want you to go on.
And being Jewish, my dear friends, the Jewish liberals, disgust me even more. And I tell you why. I hear sometimes the militant blacks, against whom I so far had nothing really, nothing. I have known Danes and Swedes and blacks and whites and greens and yellows, and I look at people as individuals. But there is a difference. As soon as these people, the militants, make a front against me because I'm Jewish, if these militants say, as they said, I think on this station, I know you don't like the repetition of that, on this station, that they in some way regret that I haven't been converted into a lampshade, if my information is right. If these militants say that they regret that I have escaped the gas chambers and ovens in Germany, then if someone thusly spits into my face, I am not going to lick off the spittle. I am not like the Jewish liberal friends of mine, a masochistic jellyfish. I hit back with everything I have because I have what any animal has, the sense of self-respect and self-preservation. I don't believe in this masochistic jellyfish. I think I'm very happy I found these two words now, because I think they really pinpoint what I mean. And so I didn't want to get into this conversation at all.
No, I don't want to get into it. I'm not going to do anything to further it, except to say that, of course, there are things you say which I agree with. And which I'm not so popular for agreeing with, because I'm always considered the guy here on the station who's soft on the establishment. But but I don't mean to say that I disagree with everything you say. In fact, it's amazing. No, it's amazing whenever somebody from the right and somebody from the left get together and start arguing. You find out really how much in common they really have. But there are certain things that are just off balance a little bit. Now, I'm not meaning to say that you're off balance a little bit, but some of your ideas are.
Well, I mean, there are no solutions. I know that my ideas are not necessarily the right ones, but I don't think that what's going on is right, and I just cannot stand the grinning, smiling lick-spittlers on other, I don't know, I have no FM set, so I've never listened to this station.
Well, you can be sure you're talking to all those people you're talking about.
But the many, what is one called that, hosts, not disc jockeys, what are they called?
Hosts.
The hosts on these radio shows, who many of them are of Jewish faith, when they have the militant leaders as their guests, they are being so insulted, and instead of giving them the answers that the insulters deserve, they wiggle their tail and lick their boots. I think this is ridiculous. This is disgusting.
I think you're right. I think it's disgusting. It's as disgusting as it is when it's the other way around.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, we found something now. They are the Jewish Uncle Toms. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Taught the Negroes.
I think that's what's happening. There's a culture of Jewish Uncle Toms.
Yes.
That's coming about, which is but I think it's hopefully a temporary overreaction to the way things have always been.
And let me remind you,
Please
I'm
do.
not Uncle Tom. I'm Brother Theodore.
On that note, friends, we'll say that this is WBAI in New York City. I'm going to play a record, but you're not going to leave, please.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, I won't.
Please don't leave.
Okay, I won't.
Because so far, this is the best show we've had in ages.
Oh, I'm sure.
Thanks to you.
Of course.
And also, of course, thanks to the fact that I'm able to keep my mouth quiet, my mouth shut a lot.
This you do in enlightened self-defense.
No, I do it out of fear.
Which is the same.
Floating slowly and clear. river belong to anybody I know? Can I fish just a little beneath my body and soul? To sit and to dream on the river bank, let my mind relax, to let my consciousness be easy and free.
We're still here, folks. Us and the end groove of the record. And, what? Yes, of course. I've been taking some phone calls. Hold on a second while I close my door here. This is very informal. Theodore isn't used to working under such informal circumstances as this. But that's the way it is. Crazy people running around and all kinds of weird things. But people are calling up as they always do, and it's always been one of my pet peeves. And, although people have been pretty nice tonight, I have to admit, I have to reconsider my previous thought, which was going to be to chastise those who let their politics influence the rest of their lives and the rest of their associations. But on the other hand, people have been pretty rational tonight. There haven't been any like hate calls or anything. Anyway. So you don't agree with Theodore's politics. I don't agree with Theodore's politics. And I don't agree with your politics either, fella. Whoever you are, sitting out there by your little radio saying nasty things, thinking nasty things. I don't agree with you either. Right? Right. You can pop the soda can right on the air.
Okay, I will pop it.
That was nice. That was fun. You can slurp it on the air and everything. Last night on the Johnny Carson show, they cut out a belch. Somebody belched and they cut it out. Can you imagine that? Imagine going to those extremes. I'm talking to you and to everybody out there in radio land, as we say. But, my God, around here, a belch is like the highlight of the evening. And on television, they cut it out. Anyway, we want to...
Yeah.
Did you want to comment on what I just said? Not really. We were going to move on to other topics. We're not going to continue to discuss politics because all of you ranting, crazy left-wingers out there will just, become furious and you'll start jumping up and down and you'll try and reach us on the phone and we won't answer and you'll just go to bed frustrated and you'll have to see your psychiatrist this week, right? Because you'll have all of this pent-up rage at Theodore because he's a reactionary.
I can immediately calm them down. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, I'm such a arch-conservative only because I'm escapee. I'm an escapee from the galloping senility ward, and that is the reason. Furthermore, I would like to say it's also relative what is right and what is wrong. What is true today is all wrong tomorrow. You must remember, people once thought that Columbus was flat, and he wasn't. So I'm really, as Steve Post said, not very much interested in politics. I'm the typical emotional little would-be artist, and I would like, in order to change the subject, to say that a well-known advertising agency considers seriously grooming me for Hop-Along Theodore, which will be quite a change in my life.
Is that a television series?
Yeah, television commercials. You see, I'm a great hater. Now, as we agreed that we are not going into politics, because I really have no valid, solid knowledge about politics. The mere fact that I'm an eccentric and fairly unique performer, I know, does not make me an expert in politics. But what we were talking about, Steve, while we were playing the record, my other peeve that I would like to get rid of is you, an intelligent, highly intelligent, highly successful young man, you like psychoanalysis. You like psychoanalysts. How is that possible? Now, probably we will get other telephone calls because your audience probably consists of super liberal psychoanalysts, so there will be more hatred for me and less people will come and buy the tickets. I just detest psychoanalysis.
Why?
It is just a hit. It's a hit or miss proposition, and as far as I've heard, I've never been a psychoanalyst, although you would say I probably need one. It's more a miss proposition than a hit proposition. Psychoanalysis has as much relation to science as tea leaf reading has to biochemistry. In my opinion, most of its practitioners are either sickly, self-deluded, pompous blunderers, or out-and-out cheats who like to make themselves a fast and relatively easy buck. You see, it is so far easier to study and practice psychoanalysis than it is to study and practice, let us say, electrical engineering or astrophysics or plumbing or driving a bus. And whenever a maladjusted ass of a psychoanalyst sticks his faking, one is permitted to say faking on this program, his faking, fumbling finger into an already befuddled mind, he causes his patient great harm in the head and a large hole in his pocketbook. Now, as you may or may not have guessed by now, I don't dig psychoanalysis. May I give you an example? I find that examples always far better show.
Please do.
Yeah. Sure. I have a friend who got himself cured of a psychosomatic boil. He got himself cured of this boil by psychoanalysts, but as soon as he was cured of the boil, he took to carrying on psychosomatically and quite indecently with his sister and boasting about this fact to all and sundry. Now, to cure him of his sister, the psychoanalyst had to restore the boil, and everything after about a year, everything was as it had been before, with the exception that the psychoanalyst was $3,000 richer and my friend $3,000 poorer, and his sister frustrated and sore as hell. I say to you, most solemnly and most sincerely, the cuckoo analysts are the high priests of our present-day superstitions. They are the witch doctors of this century. They are opposed to any form of salvation that does not involve 5 years of blabberation therapy twice a week to the tune of $20 to $60 a session. Now, the funny thing is, I tried that once, and I know of other people who tried it. If you ever have the temerity and the gall and the courage to question the scientific value of this fraudulent pseudoscience, the psycho-quacks will immediately tell you that your very hostility toward psychoanalysis clearly proves how desperately you really need it, how you subconsciously want it. No. Want it. Subconsciously I want it because I hate it. Just as my hostility toward toothache merely proves how desperately I really want a toothache. Subconsciously I want a toothache. You know, this is their logic. And incidentally, something very interesting, a very, very interesting statistical item. And don't tell me that all statistics are wrong. It has become very, what does one call that, chic now. Whenever someone comes up with the statistics, that someone says statistics automatically are meaningless. Some of them are meaningless and some are meaningful. The ones that I quote are very, very meaningful. Now, a study of 2,749 typical American towns shows that the average pregnancy of women is 17% per square block, while the average pregnancy of men is less than 0% per the same square block. And in 1966, the records show that over 700 suicides occurred among males who were despondent over their inability to give birth. And now comes the crux of the matter. Almost all of those 700 males that had committed suicide because they were unable to give birth were psychoanalysts. And this is a statistic in a medical journal.
You wouldn't care to reveal the name of the medical journal?
I don't know whether you would care. I have put my foot into so many troublesome spots that I would prefer at this moment not to mention it, but I'll show you the name when we are off the air, and you will turn pale, because it's a very, very, very important and very reliable medical journal.
The one
and you know which one I'm alluding to.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I can the part that really strikes me.
Yeah.
Is the statistic you quoted about 17.5% of women on a square block.
17.
Yes.
17, not an and a half. You didn't listen.
Oh,
just
7.
No,
17.
please. No, please, Steve, don't. Please don't do this to me. I never said 17 and a half. I said 17.
Well,
you shouldn't do it. No, really.
Should we quarrel over a half of a percentage point?
No, but I mean, you know, I told you that I'm a German disciplinarian, and facts are facts.
That's true.
And distortions are distortions.
Right. 17%.
17% per square block.
Of women.
Of women. Of course. Do you think males get pregnant? I mean, what kind of question is this? Are you trying to kid me here? Are you trying to make a fool out of me, or what?
No, I'm just trying to determine the reliability of this particular statistic.
No, I think your success here is going to your head, and you're turning against your old friends.
No, I would never do that. I just was interested in the reliability of the statistic.
Look, we are all in our little way, we are all in a frantic, insane search for a little sanity. We all have in common. Black and whites, and you and I and everyone. So let's... who is coming into that studio? I don't like people to stare at me through the glass.
Go away. Go away. Go away.
His face is familiar to me, if that's what he's showing me.
It doesn't seem like he's showing you anything much but his face at the moment.
Yeah.
He's a person who's around here a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
He's one of the WBAI Metric Alpha lunch bunch.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it is. Pretty bad. Exit. Thank you.
Steve.
I hate the sound that yes.
You know something?
What?
I have to go home.
Ah.
No, really. Also, I have heard that, and I've lived long enough to know it myself. I have, as so many people have, the horrible tendency of going on and on and on, and what seems reasonably entertaining and intelligent for half an hour becomes totally unbearable when it exceeds 1 hour.
But it's so rare that we get a chance to have you on.
Yeah, but I'm like a man with like a record with one tune, and after this tune is exhausted, I really repeat the same thing all over again, you know?
That's not true. Gosh.
Well, you said gosh, I would say let the rain wash away what the wind fails to kiss. This is so far, far nicer than just to say gosh,
Well, you have a way
gee,
with...
golly, boy oh boy,
Now-
heck, bull, sharks, holy tsitsery. What did I say?
Now you make...
Let the rain wash away what the wind fails to kiss. And incidentally...
But
yes?
where I come from in the Bronx, gosh is as poetic as what you just said. You can't
Don't
make fun of my
shout
heritage.
at me. I'm a very warm human being. Don't enrage me. Don't make me bellow when I want to coo. Steve, I'm warning you.
I'll try and keep my voice
Now
down.
permit me to announce in a crisp and unmistakable manner that I refuse to participate in rhinocerontic conversations just because I was brought up by a rhinoceros. You know, this is not one is not the sequence of the other. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm just joking. You know, I'm just joking. An evil mind is my only consolation in this life. To be Theodore is no bed of roses. I detest everything I stand for. I really do.
That's the only way to be.
Yeah, oh yes. Now may I go home now? I should pretend that I walk out of the studio, and then after I have apparently left the studio, then you should say, ladies and gentlemen, don't get that guy wrong. He is really a very nice and gentle and lovable person off stage. On stage, he's fantastic. He's satanic. He's an evil... No, he's a genius of the sinister, and so on. I shouldn't do that.
You're pretty
Steve.
weird off
You
stage, though,
should
too.
do that. No, I don't think so.
Yes.
No, I don't
Oh,
think
no,
so.
you're not the same kind of strange as you are on stage. But you're not your run-of-the-mill guy.
Well, I tell you why. My tranquilizers are messing up my horoscope. Can you imagine the mess I'm in, you know? Incidentally, spring is here, almost. Spring is about to... Spring? And spring is obviously the least obnoxious of the four seasons. So, good night, Steve. Oh, no, really. I have to get up early tomorrow and... really, and you know, I'm a terrible insomniac.
That's true, but just think, if you stay here and work, you'll be tuckered out by the time you get home.
You're talking about yourself?
No, you. Well, I'm always talking about myself, but I'm talking about you in this.
Yeah, but you have a very nice and very secure job, and you see how step by step you will reach the heights of success, while I am freelancing. I'm freelancing. You know what it means to be freelancing? That you rarely know how you can pay your rent the next month.
Yeah, but I work for BAI, and I can hardly tell how I'm going to pay my rent
Yeah,
next
but
month.
BAI is just a stepping stone. And just watch when you are 10 years older how you will be a host for the establishment. How you
Never.
will be another Brinkley.
I'd love to do it, to tell you the truth. I just haven't had any offers. I mean, I've been here for 4 years now, and let's face it, this is it. I mean, this is the pinnacle of my success. Right here.
Let me drink now a little bit.
Do drink. Have a drink.
An announcement of public interest and as a service to the community. Tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. near West 96th Street, I shall plunge into the Hudson, and shortly thereafter I shall reappear on the coast of New Jersey as a white swan. It will be a miracle, and there will be dancing in the streets, and the establishment hushes it up, of course.
No.
You know, your liberal friends, from the telephone calls that I partly heard while you were playing the record, they are such pompous asses.
Those are the people who are going to buy the tickets.
No, then they should stay away, because if they don't have any sense of humor, they better stay away, because I don't want them even if they pay the ticket price.
Well, obviously the people who listen to this program have no sense of humor whatever. Otherwise they'd be listening to another program. I wanted to ask you something. What else have you done? This is not a setup question, friends. Recently.
Well, you know that not my profession, but my avocation is dentistry.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have to explain what dentistry is. I mean, you look at me expectantly as if now tremendous witticisms would pour out of my mouth about dentistry. No, I just, for free, because it is my avocation, I rip out all the teeth of every mouth as fast as I can. You know? And
it's a sideline.
It's not a sideline. It's a hobby.
That's what I say. A hobby would be a sideline.
Well, a hobby would be a sideline. I thought it is like moonshining, making extra buck. No.
That's true. It could be like making an extra buck.
The only way the only therapeutic way of filling a tooth is to rip it out. That's the only.
Is there a lot of call for this kind of work?
Yeah. You would be amazed. You would be amazed. Steve, forgive me, I might sound a little bit absent-minded, and I am, because I'm hysterically looking at the clock tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, I have to get up early. I don't try to make myself important. I have to catch a train tomorrow morning. Just for one day. But still I have to be at my best, and it takes me hours and hours when I go home now to fall asleep, because as I said before, nobody's interested, nobody in the audience, not you, but I'm interested in it, that I am an insomniac, you know.
Okay, well, I don't want to
may I be kind enough to leave?
Okay,
please.
Don't just get up right now. I'll put on a record.
Put on a record,
okay,
please.
I'll say that this is WBAI in New York. I'll ask you, please.
My favorite record is Ta-ra-ra-boom-dee-da-da-da-da-da.
Just happens to be missing from our library at the moment. But
it's too conservative, I guess. Too reactionary.
It's a little too leftist, actually. Will you come back again soon, before another year is up?
Of course. As soon as you invite me, I come.
I always invite you, but... Well, I always want to invite you, but
I have been waiting that once you would have the common decency to repay me the 2 times 20 cents for the subway fare. I mean, I know I don't get paid when I come here, but I shouldn't have expenses. Why don't I ever get the 40 cents?
I keep telling you to put in for petty cash.
Yeah, well, I mean, these are the little things, you know, petty cash. I'm not a petty person, but these are the self-understood civilities that I expect.
We're scraping it up now, as a matter of fact, in the back room.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with the show.
Thank you so much.
Really, thank you for coming up.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm not going to start to get sincere, but I really have enjoyed it, because you haven't been around in a long time. And people, as a matter of fact, before you came up tonight at about... I guess it must have been about 1 or 1:45, somebody called and said, "Hey, remember Theodore, who you always used to have on? Where is he? Is he around any place? Can I see him?" And I said, "Just happens that he's coming up tonight."
Was it a man or a girl?
Unfortunately, it was a man, I think.
How do you know unfortunately? You don't know my predilections.
Oh, I certainly do know your predilections. I don't know what the word means, but I'm sure if I did, I would know what they were.
I mean, just because I have never attacked you doesn't mean that I don't like young boys, but you are right. I love young, slender females with long hair.
Hopefully humanoid.
Hopefully humanoid. Good night.
Good night, Theodore.